Chapter 4. Everything seemed like it was going great for me, right? I have my business. Everything's going great. I'm more involved with my kids. And the money's coming in. I'm making a lot of money. And then something happens. I go to church one day, very thankful and grateful for my blessings. Thankful for everything that's happened to change things around, to make things easier for me to be able to be there for my kids, to be able to provide felt amazing. To not worry about money was exhilarating. I felt like I was on top of the world. All I needed was the real custody of my kids, the legal custody, right? Well, I keep looking back there because somebody came earlier whenever I was in the middle of a video and interrupted my shit. So, anyway, they don't need to hear all that. You do, because I feel like a lot of you have gone through something similar, maybe not exactly, but similar. And a lot of the times you almost feel like there's no hope. And we go through some shit being single without our kids. But let me tell you what happened next. So I go to church. I pray to God. I ask the Lord to send me someone whom I can send to Him. I felt like I needed to give God back, not just financially, not just by putting in my tithes, but by sending a soul. After all, that is what they tell us to do, right? When you go to church, they actually want you to bring people to church and bring them close to the Lord and all that. And as happy and grateful as I was, I felt like I needed to do that. It was my rightly duty to bring someone to God because I found Him and He changed things for me. And I wanted that to happen for somebody else. I was so excited. So I remember praying that Sunday, Lord, if there's someone that needs you, Lord, please bring them in my path so that I can bring them to you. I wanted to be a vessel. I wanted to be someone who can be used for that beautiful purpose. And then 3 days later, on a Wednesday, and it just so happened to be Valentine's Day, I seen somebody's post. This someone I had dated when I was in middle school. That person was such a gentleman to me. He never disrespected me. So, you can only imagine that whenever I seen his post, I felt like I had to reach out. His post said, at 6 a.m, reads, Lord, just take me away already. That to me was a clear call for help. Lord, just take me away already. For someone who I loved and someone who had respected me and showed me nothing but good, how could I not be there for that person? And so to me, that was the person that God needed me to bring to Him. So I reach out to that person and I'm like, hey, how you doing? How you been? Maybe we should hang out soon and go out to eat or something. And that person replied right away. He was like, yeah, that would be great, but maybe not today. I'm with my mom today, but maybe tomorrow. Just send me your number and then I'll give you a call. So he calls me the next day and I go pick him up and we go eat. And while we were there eating, this person was just lost. You could see it in his eyes. He was so lost. He was just there. And I remember just talking and talking like I am right now, just talking. And I remember telling this person, like, I just stopped talking for a minute and I looked at him and I was like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? I said, do you know why I reached out to you? And he said, no, why? And I said, because of your post. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. When I asked him that, and I told him that that's why I reached out to him, it triggered an immense emotion inside of him, and he just started crying. I remember it. It was so sad because I've never seen that side of him, of course. He was a gangster, you know? Gangsters don't cry, right? But he was balling. And so I reached over to him and I grabbed his hand and I said, you know what? You don't have to tell me nothing. Just know. I said, just know from experience, whatever you're going through, if you're trying to change, you have to be tired of your own shit. Like, I'm telling you from experience. And when I told him that, he just looked up at me and he stopped crying, and it's like a fucking light bulb turned on. You have to be tired of your own shit. Maybe he was, right? After that, he kept paying attention to every word I said. He didn't stop looking at me or listening to me. He was deadlocked on every word. After that, I went to go drop him off. After we hung out, I dropped him off at his house. And then I told him, you know, hey, sometimes just know that sometimes we have to start over. And if that means letting every fucking thing go, let it fucking go and start over. Because that's where I was. I started over. And I started over a couple of times. 3 to be exact. And so I told him that. Sometimes you just got to let everything go and start from scratch. And that was the last thing I said to him. Tell me why at 4 a.m. I get a call from him from jail. When I took the call and he answered, he said, you were right. I should have listened to you. He had some situation that happened with some family members, supposedly, and he got caught up and got arrested. But I guess in between that time, before he was able to give me a call, he fell asleep and he had a dream. And in that dream, supposedly, he saw both of us somewhere overlooking the water, but above the water, there was a lighthouse. And it just seemed so peaceful. And he told me about this dream. When he told me about the dream, he said, I feel like I just need to see you again. Can I please call you when I get out? And I said, yeah, that's fine, you know. So he calls me on Monday. He got out. And we made plans to hang out again. Well, when I picked him up, he no longer had a place to stay. No longer had a car. No longer had clothes. Apparently where he was staying, they took it all. And this was in a course of a couple of days. So that was kind of crazy. But he had to start from scratch. And he literally said, it's just like you said. Sometimes you got to start from scratch. And here I come out and I have nothing. And I don't even know where to start. So me, being, you know, in the position that I was in, and I kept telling myself when I told God that I was going to help this person, whoever it would have been. And this is my opportunity to really help. And so I offered him work. And I offered him to stay by his side, and we were able to have someone let us stay with them for a little bit, and then after that we ended up getting our own place. Once we got our own place, though, everything went bad. This person, I remember the very first time that he hit me, I remember it was because I went through his phone and I had found that he was talking to somebody. And I didn't care. As a matter of fact, I put the phone back down and I pretended like I didn't see nothing and I was going to go to work. But when he saw that I was trying to take off, he was like, wait a minute, where the hell are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm going to work. I got to go in early because, I had to get my day started. I always work and I'm always responsible. And I always try to make sure that I don't leave my jobs just like that, because at the end of the day, regardless of what's going on, people come and go, situations are going to happen, but money still has to be made. Otherwise, it's going to affect your well-being. And I'm not that stupid. I'm not that stupid. I'm going to go get my money. So, he gets mad and he goes, well, fuck that, I'm going with you. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. And we got into an argument in the truck. He stops the car in the middle of the fucking road, not even a block away from where we were at, coming out of our home. He runs back inside with my keys. So I had to go chase him to go get my keys so I can get my truck out of the middle of the fucking road. When I went back there, he threw me on the floor. We had just gotten that apartment, so it wasn't furnished. All I had were blankets and our clothes. And he pushed me to the ground and he said, is this what the fuck you want? A fucking gangster? I got your fucking gangster, bitch. And he threw me on the floor. He threw the blanket over me. So I'm on the floor with the blanket over me. And the next thing you know, I just start feeling kicks all over my body. I was fucking shocked that he did that. But he did. He started kicking me like I was a dog. And then when he uncovered me, I was about to get out, like get up and out. And then he had a hanger in his hand. And then he cocked it back like he was going to hit me with it. And all I remember doing is I just looked up at him and I told myself, fuck it, if he's going to do it, do it. And I just put my face up, like, just get it over with, And he stopped. He put the hanger down, and then he started hugging me. Do you know how fucking stupid that feels for a woman who is being abused? And then now you want to hug me? The abuse got worse. It got way worse. I had to set up a safety plan with one of my good friends. And when that one safety plan was utilized on another occasion, I ended up going back to my ex. But this time I had everything that was my belongings in one of my other vehicles. I always had two cars. I always had an SUV and a regular car. And I had everything in my SUV. I had that white Denali. A lot of you guys remember me having that one. I had everything in that white Denali, and then I had the black Malibu. So when I'm there, we get into it again because he thought I was cheating, and I wasn't. I was at work a block away, and I had told him he can go work with me if he wanted to. But he wanted to stay at the house and get fucked up or something, do some weird shit. When I came back from the job, I found him in a little corner like a crackhead doing fucking something. Turns out he was doing ice. And he told me, yeah, you're probably cheating on me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was at work. You could have gone, and I told you could have. I said, it's probably your ass cheating on me. What the hell? I said, let me see your phone. And he showed it to me, but he only showed me the text messages. And I was like, nah, I don't want to see that shit. I want to see the messenger. And sure enough, I went through the messenger and I found him asking a 15-year-old girl to send him pictures. And she did. She sent him some titty shots. Stupid little girl. So, with that, my ass went crazy. I got his phone and threw it up against the wall. I went to my room to go get the rest of my stuff. And when I went, all hell broke loose. He follows me into the room, and I felt his presence behind me. And when I felt him behind me, I kind of just freaked out a little bit, and I grabbed a monitor that was on top of one of our dressers, and I chunked it towards the door where he was coming, and it hit the floor, and it actually shattered the tile floor. After that, he grabbed me from behind, and he starts squeezing the fuck out of my top part of my body. When he did that, I started freaking out because I was with somebody a long time ago who used to do that. He was a wrestler, and he one time did the same similar shit. So I started having flashbacks to that. And I broke his hold by throwing my arms up hard and fast. And when I did that, I broke his hold, and I went up to break it, and apparently since he was taller than me, I fucking hit that nigga in the mouth. Boom. I remember feeling the hit. And then he just stops, and then he goes, "You fucking bitch. You broke my fucking tooth." And I just turned around behind me, and I see this motherfucker wiggling his fucking tooth. It was kind of funny. All of a sudden, when I looked up and I seen him wiggling his tooth, he looks at me with fucking evilness in his fucking eyes. And next thing you know, boom, right in my fucking face. Boom, 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 all over my fucking head. He throws me on the fucking bed with my face down into the pillows. He straddles my back. He straddles my back, and some crazy shit. I've been through some shit. He starts pressing my face into the pillows. I remember myself wiggling around, and I could see, from side to side, I could see from my peripheral a little bit of light from each end. And it finally got to the point where I couldn't see anymore. And I kept telling him, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And he would just push my face deeper into the pillows until all of a sudden, it was lights out. I went into this dark place. I went into this dark room. It was like a movie theater room. When everything gets dark right before the presentation, it got just like that. Just like that. I was in the center, though. It was weird. It was like I was in the center of the theater. And then all of a sudden, in front of me, there was pictures of my kids. Like a collage of pictures of my kids. And then behind me, like up there, back there somewhere, I heard myself talking to myself. "Bitch, you're not going to make it. You're not going to get to see the kids. You're not going to make it till a las 15. I remember those words. It's crazy. But I said that to myself. I don't know how, but somehow I went from that dark room to all of a sudden I was up against the window. And I remember him looking at me like he had seen a ghost. He backed away like, "What the fuck?" When he did that, he dropped his knife. I fucking went for that bitch. I didn't want him to stab me in the face and kill me, Like, this nigga was already capable of hurting me. So, we both went for the knife. I grabbed it. I put it behind my back. And at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm on the top floor. What am I going to do? All these thoughts were going so fast. By the time I could finish processing that, he grabbed it. And then I started fighting him for my life. Because I knew he had the knife. And the last thing that I wanted is for him to fucking stab me. So I started hitting him. fighting with all my fucking might. Finally, he was like, okay, stop already, stop. The cops are gonna come, they're gonna come get me. And I was like, no, I won't tell him nothing. Let me just go. Let me just leave. I won't say nothing. And he said, nope, you're gonna fucking stay right here. And he made me sit down on the bed and wait. He stood by the door. And what I did is I played it cool. And I said, well, can you at least get me some water? When he goes to the kitchen to go get me water, mind you, let me give you a layout visual. So my apartment, when you come in, is the kitchen to the left, living room to the right, and then the bedrooms are towards the back, and that's where I was. And then the bathroom was right in front of the bedroom. But if I come out of the bedroom, the kitchen and the living room would be diagonally to my left. So he goes to the kitchen by the front door, so I can't do nothing. But it gave me some thinking time. So I remember I looked over behind me and I see my purse. So I grabbed my keys and my wallet. I think I grabbed my phone. No, I don't remember if my phone was with me. It wasn't, because I didn't call my friend. Okay, so yeah. My phone was somewhere in my purse. The only thing I was able to manage to grab were my keys and my wallet. And I stuck it in my cookie in between my legs. And then my keys, I stuck in my armpit. And then my purse, I just left it there. And by the time he came back, he saw me in the same position that he had left me in. So he didn't know that I had done anything. He gives me my water and I tell him thank you. And then he goes to the bathroom. And then he gets close to the mirror. And then he starts fucking with his tooth again. When I seen him up against the mirror, that's when I fucking got up and I dashed out the fucking house. He followed me, of course. But I ran down those fucking stairs as fast as I fucking could. I ran into the fucking street with no fucking shoes. And all I remember is that he stopped running after me. He stopped by the staircase and he looked towards my cars, because I had both of the cars there. And he thought that I left my purse upstairs with my keys and everything in there. He thought that he was going to be able to go grab my keys and take off. So when I turned around, when I felt that he was no longer following me, I noticed that he had stopped, looked, and went back inside. I knew what he was thinking. The minute he saw my cars and me take off, I knew he was thinking about getting my cars or something. Taking off, dipping out, something. As soon as he goes back in the house, I wait a few seconds. I crept back towards my car, got in my Denali, and I dipped the fuck out. This was around, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. The only place that I knew that he didn't know that I hung out with or whatever was somewhere in Del Valle. So I go to my friend's house over there and I'm all beat up. I got knots all over my forehead and my head. I'm bleeding from my knees, my shoulders, my neck. I'm all fucked up. And my friend opens the door, tripping the fuck out, like, what the hell? What are you doing here? And I told him what had happened. And I told him I had to go to work. I had to be at work by 6 in the morning or sooner, because I had to open up a commercial office that needed to be open by 8. 9 o'clock the latest. And I had to hurry up and get to the job. Otherwise, I was going to lose my contracts. Well, I go get the job done. And right around the time that I was coming out, somebody was going in and she seen me bleeding. And she tried to talk to me and I kind of brushed her off so that I can get away from her so she wouldn't see me. But she saw enough to report it to the commercial property manager and I lost my contracts. So that fucked up my money. That fucked up a lot. So I had to start over with that. But the crazy thing is that the day before, when all that was going on, or even before that even happened, my brother calls me and he's like, hey sis, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm at work. He goes, well, you need to call mom because she's worried about you. He said you hadn't called her and she's just worried. And I was like, okay, well, I'll give her a call. So when I left that job, I called my mom. And I started talking. And this was at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. And, or 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I was going to go to her house. And I remember telling her, Mom, I got to tell you something. And she goes, ¿Qué pasó? Yo sé que algo pasó. I know something happened. I could feel it. I had a dream about you last night, that you were choking and you were in the house here somewhere, and I got up to go look for you, but you weren't here. So I started praying for you to the Virgin Mary, that you, wherever you were okay. I said, Mom, while you're dreaming of me choking, I was actually being suffocated. She says, Vente pa la casa ya. Come home now. So I go home to my mom's house. And as soon as I pulled up to the driveway, she was already there waiting for me. I remember my mom crying as soon as she saw me come out of that car. She started crying like if I was dead. Like, I know when my mom cries when somebody passes, and that was how she received me when she saw me. We both cried, and I go inside so I could go shower, get all this blood off me. When I'm in the shower, actually backing it up a little bit, when I was with that person, me and him did go to a lake. We took our daughters, and we were on one side of the lake, and then they wanted to go to the other side. When we went to the other side, that's when he said, babe, look. And we looked, and there was a green and white lighthouse across from us. And that dream he had when he was in jail was fulfilled. When I went to go take a shower after me and him were done, and we were already over with and all that, I go take a shower, and I'm crying. I'm letting the water fall on me. And when I turned around, I noticed that it wasn't plastic liner. It was a fabric liner on the inside. So my mom put like 2 curtains, like double curtains, but they were like the regular curtains that it should have been. But when I looked over, I seen the pattern, and I cried even more in disbelief. You know what that was inside? My hair be messing up, so don't mind me if I'm messing with my hair. I'm sweating and it's starting to go all over the place. But anyway, it was a shower curtain fabric with a whole bunch of lighthouses, patterns all over it, blue, white, and red. And it was right by the ocean. And it was beautiful. And it was red, white, and blue. I remember it. But I realized that has to signify something. So when I looked into it, it does say that lighthouses signify spiritual, what is it called? Spiritual encounters or something. It was something spiritual. I can't recall it at this time. But that's what it meant. That's what was going on. It was all supposed to be a spiritual mission. And I fucked it up by getting involved for my own selfish reasons. For being with him when I was supposed to give him to God, not to myself. I think that's why I was punished in a way. I veered off track. I try to love him and be there for him instead of letting God love him and let God be there for him. My job was to get him to God, not to me. So I don't blame that person. I actually forgave that person. He ended up doing 3 years in prison for what he did to me. And when he came out, he did apologize, and I forgave him, you know. I feel like it wasn't his fault. He had so many things that he was dealing with that he didn't need to be with nobody. He needed to just find God first, find himself, and get himself well so that he can be a good man for the woman he needed to be with. And it could have been me, but it wasn't going to be me when he was already dealing with so many demons in him. So I lost everything again.